A fun archetype to play with is the Gentle Giant, someone who is incredibly strong, incredibly powerful, can break you like a twig, but yet is gentle in soul, is a fun archetype, and I wanted to explore it in today's build. This is the Gentle Giant. Let's do this. Before jumping into the build, if you love D&D character builds, you're gonna love our channel, and please show us some support by going down, hitting the subscribe button. It helps us out more than you know. But with that out of the way, let's get into the build. So let's talk about our target. What are we going for with this build? Well, the first thing we're going to need to hit is to be a giant. We need to be big and we need to be strong. And the second thing is we need to be gentle. And I see this as having like kind of a gentle, more natural soul, but also just showing it with charisma skills and whatnot. And so those are the two targets I'm going to be going for with this particular build. How are we going to pull that off? Well, let's start with our lineage. Our lineage needs to be someone giant and gentle. Firbolg really stands out to me here. We are huge. We have powerful build built into our character. We stand above the rest, and yet we're nature-based, yet we like to talk to little birds and squirrels. The Firbolg is the lineage for me with this build. As for our leveling structure, I'm going to be going 7 levels into my favorite ranger subclass, which is the Fey Wanderer. After that, we're going to take 3 levels into fighter and then back into ranger for the rest of our career. So let's talk about our stats for a moment. They're going to be a bit weird. We're going to have a primary in wisdom, a secondary in constitution, and a tertiary in dexterity, but it needs to be at least 14 for a medium armor. These stats are the big 3 saving throws, so inherently we're going to have better than average saving throws across the board. And you might be saying, well, I thought you were the Gentle Giant. Shouldn't you be going into strength to reflect that? And the answer is we could, but I'm actually going to be using my athletics to reflect that. So when we take that first level in Ranger, we're going to be using the Ranger's variant features throughout the campaign, and that first level we get to give expertise in 1 ability. That's going to go into athletics to show off that we are the Gentle Giant. At this level, we're not going to be very strong. We're going to be tanky, but we're not going to be very strong at all, and that's because we haven't built into our power levels yet. We only have a 14 dexterity, so I might stay in the back and use a sling. You can use a bow, but for some reason the sling just feels better with the Firbolg imagery for me, so that's what I would do, is just use a sling, sit in the back line, and just mostly survive until we hit level 3, and this honestly might be a build that is better used on a campaign that starts out at level 3, or one that's quick with level 1 and level 2. But these problems largely go away next level. Hopefully your DM's not keeping you in level 1 very long, or you start your campaign past level 1. The reason why our problems go away is that we get the druidic warrior fighting style. This allows us to pick up 2 druid cantrips, and the most important one we're going to be picking up is Shillelagh. Shillelagh is going to allow us to use our wisdom modifier in melee combat, so combined with a shield and our staff, we now have a great way to go get tangled up in melee. The second one I would use just to cover some ranged options, so you have something like Thorn Whip or Produce Flame. The more range the better, but I do like the utility of Thorn Whip, but you do have a bit less range, so it's a give and take there. Choose whatever fits your playstyle best. So we've really established what our fighting playstyle is. We're going to be a frontline fighter using medium armor, shield, and shillelagh, and then we're going to be interweaving spells, the most important of which at this level is going to be Entangle. Once we hit level 3, we get to become a Fey Wanderer, dealing a little bit more damage in combat, but more importantly, we now get to use our wisdom modifier on top of our charisma modifier when making charisma checks. Additionally, it's going to give us 2 face skills. So now we are pretty well rounded when it comes to our skills, and something really cool is that Firbolgs have the ability to talk to animals and plants, which is something I'm going to be doing a lot with this character. I just love the idea of us taking care of little birdies, building nests on our heads, you know, being the Gentle Giant. But what's really cool about all of this is it all combines. We get to now add our wisdom to our face skills, and we get advantage on convincing animals to do things. So now we have a wisdom bonus plus a proficiency bonus plus advantage, all on interacting with animals in particular, but you can also still have these buffs besides the advantage with normal humans as well. So we're very convincing. Speaking of which, we're going to want to make sure we pick up a couple important skills, whether from our background or from being a ranger. I want to make sure that we get animal handling because we want to interact with animals a lot, and I also want to make sure that we get insight because we can't understand the animal's back, so either it's going to be an animal handling call or an insight call from our DM to kind of understand what they're trying to tell us. Moving on to level 4, I'm definitely bumping wisdom. Wisdom is going to help us be a better spellcaster, it's going to help with our shillelagh damage modifier, and it's going to allow us to be a better face. It does everything we need in one stat, so we're going to be maximizing that as soon as possible. If our wisdom is odd, we can pick up a half feat, and wisdom has plenty of amazing wisdom half feat, the most notable of which is Fey Touched, which actually fits our flavor perfectly, and gives us additional mobility in Misty Step, and can give us something like Silvery Barbs to debuff our enemies with our reaction. Really powerful spell. Level 5 gives us extra attack as well as second level spells. Summon Beast definitely stands out to me as a partner to come run into combat with us, and it just fits our flavor perfectly. Level 6, we're going to get a bit more movement speed, and then level 7 brings Beguiling Twist. Beguiling Twist is pretty awesome. When there's an attempt to charm or frighten someone and that attempt fails, we can use our reaction to decide somebody else who has to make a charm or frighten save. We get to choose which, and then they have to make another save against it. So any spell of ours or our teams or any synergy we have with making people make those saves are going to be really, really great. Additionally, we get resistance to the charmed and frightened condition, getting to roll advantage on those saves. Considering we're already deep in wisdom, we're going to be saving against that often. And just a reminder, we also have invested in constitution and dexterity, so again, our saves are just better than average. Now, for our next 3 levels, we're going to be going into fighter. This is to go invest more in the giant side of our gentle giant. First off, we're going to get a fighting style. Dueling fighting style lets us do more damage with our shillelagh attacks, and then we have the defense fighting style for more AC. More based on personality, I would go defense fighting style for this character because I just see them more defensive. I can almost see them pulling their punches when they're hitting somebody. They don't really want to hurt anybody, so I like the defensive fighting style more. Action surge is always good on every character, but it's especially good on casters because you can set up a concentration spell and then go take advantage of it, a la entangle them and then go attack twice with advantage. And then at level 3, we're going to be going into Rune Knight. Rune Knight is going to do a bunch of different things for us, but it begins with letting us be more of a gentle giant by becoming more giant. This is going to open up more grapple opportunities for us. This whole time, we've been able to grapple decently because we have expertise in athletics. So at any point, we can just drop our staff or stow our staff and then go grapple someone, and we probably have done it quite a bit up to this point. But now we can do it with advantage when we go big. It's also going to increase our damage output, and it's going to give us runes. The runes do a bunch of different things for us, but the most notable of which is the stone rune. This allows us to, as a reaction, make an enemy make a saving throw against being charmed. And it's a really powerful debuff for somebody who doesn't have great wisdom saves. It just kind of keeps them out of the combat. Now, you might think that we have synergy with the charm and frighten condition, but our Beguiling Twist actually requires a reaction, and so does this, so we can't use them in conjunction with each other. However, there's going to be plenty of turns where we can't use Beguiling Twist, and so being able to use this is going to be just fine, and it does fit the character. As for the other runes, you can really do whatever you want, but if we're going off of flavor, I think Frost Rune stands out, even though it's probably the weakest among them. It just leans more into the giant feel. It makes us a better grappler, even though we're already a crazy good grappler. But that's its active effect. Its passive effect is it gives us advantage on animal handling checks and intimidation checks. 2 things I think we're going to be great at. Intimidation accidentally, animal handling on purpose. But honestly, you could still go Cloud Rune. Cloud Rune has very Fey flavor. They're trying to stab you and they end up stabbing someone 30 feet away. It really makes no sense, so it makes sense for Fey. Now, the Fire Rune doesn't fit our flavor so well, but it is probably among the most powerful, especially when combined with Stone Rune. Stone Rune and Fire Rune both take somebody out of combat and debuff them really hard. One focuses on strength and one focuses on wisdom. There's a lot of times those aren't paired well. Someone who has great strength probably has bad wisdom, and monsters with great wisdom probably have poor strength. It just tends to be that way, so they work out really well together. Now, for the rest of our levels, we're going to be going into the Fey Wander, and the most important part of that is that we're going to get the Summon Fey spell. We're going to continually summon the Mirthful Spirits, and we're also going to get the ability to summon them without concentration, so we can actually summon multiple. So this can be really, really powerful. Or we can use it in conjunction with, say, Entangle. But in any case, we're going to get this Fey, and more often than not, we're going to use Mirthful. Mirthful spreads around the charmed condition. Now, whether they fail or succeed, it's a win for us. If they succeed, we get to use Beguiling Twist as a reaction. So we've created a way for us to use Beguiling Twist over and over and over again. Really strong. And if they succeed, they're now charmed. They're not going to be attacking us or our Fey, and we can continue doing it. It does kind of push it towards our allies, though, but we might be able to convince them not to. And that's something else, is that because we're spreading the charmed condition, we can now lean more on our persuasiveness. We can roll advantage with plus wisdom, with proficiency, with plus charisma to try and convince them, hey, maybe fighting isn't the best option. Don't hit my friends. They're my friends. Let's all just be friends. Things like that. Very gentle giant stuff. And I touched on this before, but something I would really focus on with this character is building animal companions. And like, not trying to get them super involved in fights, but just having them be our best friends, you know, have a hat full of birds, Radagast style, and ask them to go look at things for you, you know, have some mice that are your friends, and maybe they can go scouting for you too, and just like build relationships with animals as well as your party. I think that's a fun and unique thing to do. Is this something to do outside of combat, can be used for utility, and most importantly, just fits the flavor of the gentle giant. But what I want to hear from you guys is what you guys would do to create your gentle giant, both mechanically and with your flavor. Let me know in the comments down below. But with that, my friends, I hope you have yourselves an incredible day, and I'll catch you on the next one. See you then.